Honorable colleagues, we're in prayers. Almighty God, creator and ruler of heaven and earth, we beseech thee to inspire and guide all our causes and actions so that we may always walk in the path of justice, love, and charity to one another. Help us with thy grace to do only those things that will promote the unity, peace, happiness, and prosperity of Nigeria. I pledge to Nigeria, my country, to be faithful, loyal, and honest, to serve Nigeria with all my strength, to defend our unity and uphold our honor and glory. So help me God. Honorable colleagues, order please, order. Order please. Honorable colleagues, I have examined and approved the votes and proceedings of Wednesday, 21st February 2024. We have some couple of announcements. The first is coming from the Committee on Constitutional Review, and the subject matter is inauguration ceremony of the House of Representatives Committee on the Review of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. And the message reads as follows. This is to invite all members of the House of Representatives to the inauguration ceremony of the House of Representatives Committee on the Review of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, which is scheduled to take place as follows. Date, Monday, 26 February 2024. Venue, Congress Hall, Transcorp Hilton Hotel, Abuja. Time, 10 a.m. prompt. The event is expected to usher the House into a period of intense national engagements and conversations where relevant stakeholders and members of the public make inputs towards accomplishing consensus on outstanding and contemporary constitutional debates to timelessly deliver on citizens' expectation of amendments to the Constitution. I count on your support and cooperation to deliver on this task of nation building. Signed, Right Honorable Benjamin Okezekalu, Deputy Speaker and Chairman, Committee on Constitutional Review of the House. The second is just an announcement to recognize the Forum of Clerks of Nigeria seated at the gallery. Names of the clerk are as follows. We have Rukayat Adamujalo, Clerk Gombe, Chairman. We have Adogu Tenedia Kent, Clerk from Bayelsa. We have Umar Yusuf Gital Esquire, Clerk Bauchi. We have Chugodo Sule Ahmed, Clerk from Kogi. We have Barrister Dr. Emmanuel Udaya, Clerk from Enugu. We have Abubakar Musa Ali, Clerk from Jigawa. We have Edwin Onoja from Abuja. Please, can you stand up for recognition? Can you please Those in the gallery whom I have called their names, if they are there, please stand up for recognition. Noted. Thank you. Honorable colleagues, the business of the day is the valedictory session in honor of late Gali Umar Naaba, former Speaker, House of Representatives between 1999 and 2003. I'll now invite the House Leader to move that the valedictory session do commence.
Mr. Speaker, Professor Julius Ihanvere, our federal constituency, I rise to move that the valedictory session for the former Speaker of the House of Representatives will commence immediately. I so move.
Minority Leader, please can you second?
Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, our leaders, Kingsley Chinda, of the above federal constituency of Rivers State, I rise to second the motion that we do commence the valedictory session in honor of our late leader, the former Speaker of the House. I so second.
Those in support of this motion should say aye. Aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. The order of, before we go to the business proper, it is only pertinent to recognize our former presiding officers who are here and some other members of the House of Representatives, particularly between 1999 and 2015. There are many from this side, and some are also on the front row. Beginning with our speakers, Honorable Bello Masari is here with us. Honorable Femi Bajabi Amila is here with us. Honorable Nguruje is here with us. There are so many others from the other side. I'm sure in due course they will introduce themselves, but with your kind permission, because a lot of us are seeing them for the very first time, I will give them the opportunity to rise up and introduce themselves for records. We'll start with our Deputy Speaker. Okay.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, my name is Right Honorable Prince Chibudom Muche, Deputy Speaker, 1999 to 2003, under Gali Naaba. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My name is Usman Bayero Nafada, Deputy Speaker between 2007 to 2011. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, my name is Austin Opara from River State, Deputy Speaker 2003 to 2007. Thank you very much.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, my name is Emeka Ihedioha, Deputy Speaker 2011 to 2015. I represented the Bombisen-Gopala constituency in Imo State.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, my name is Sulaiman Lasson Yusuf, Deputy Speaker 2015-2019.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, my name is Abubakar Bawa Buhari. I was Chief Whip 1999 to 2007.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members,
My name is Mohammed Kumalia. I was minority leader 1999 to 2003. I represented Maiduguri Metropolitan Federal Constituency in Borno State. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Leader of your press.
Most distinguished chair.
Mr. Speaker, principal officers of the House, members of the House of Reps, my name is Senator Mao Haruko Huabunwa. I was a member of this chamber from 1999 to 2007, and I was the Deputy House Leader. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, our former presiding officers, my name is Toby Okechukwu. I represented an area of Gwoji River Federal Constituency. I was the immediate past deputy minority leader. Thank you very much.
Mr. Speaker, former presiding officers, clerks, former and present, honorable members, my name is Binta Masi Garba, member representing Kaduna South Federal Constituency 1999 and 2007, member, former, represented Madagali Minchika Federal Constituency 2007 to 2011. Thank you very much. And Senator represented Adamawa North Senatorial District 2015 to 2019. Thank you very much. First chairperson of APC Adamawa State.
Mr. Speaker, former presiding officers and dear colleagues, I am John Halims Ochuku Agoda, the Otutu no Biotutu of Roboland. By the special grace of God, my people, I represented them from 1999 to 2011, the great people of Ichio Federal Constituency. I welcome you all. Thank you very much.
Mr. Speaker, former presiding officers, current members, and former members. My name is Mercy Almona Ise. I represented Ndokwa Ukwani Federal Constituency from 1999 to 2009, the only one that did that. Thank you.
With your kind permission, Mr. Speaker, if I may speak from where I am. My name is Hadi Abubakar Sirika, a member of this Harvard Chamber in 2003, 2007, as well as the Red Chamber in 2011, 2015. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I am Professor Jerry Sonny Ugokwe. I represented the good people of Idemili North, Idemili South Federal Constituency in the 4th and 5th Assembly. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I'm Dr. Wale Okedino. I represented Iseyin Tesiwaju Kajola Federal Constituency of Oyo State between 2003 to 2007.
Senator Hadi, please, we have a seat at this side, front seat. You and your other colleagues that are on the back bench can please come forward and occupy the seats here.
Mr. Speaker, I am Honorable J.M. Owo. I come from Rivers State.
the highest and the largest constituency in Nigeria, the Atlantic Ocean. And at the same time, that's the title. I was here 1999 through 2007. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Right Honorable Speaker, member of the House of Representatives and the former colleagues, my name is Right Honorable Abdulkadir Usman Global, represent the highest local government in the nation called Zaria, and I represent 1999 to 2003. Thank you very much.
That's former Speaker's constituency. Mr. Speaker, sir, honorable members, Isa Hassan Mohammed, member represented Jama'are Itas Gado from Bauchi State, as a member in the 4th Assembly, 7th Assembly, and 8th Assembly. Thank you.
Well, Mr. Speaker, distinguished leaders of the Parliament, my dear colleagues, my name is Honorable Frank Ineke. I represented Ida Federal Constituency of Kogi State from 1999 to 2007. Thank you very much.
Mr. Speaker, the presiding officers and their colleagues, my name is Abdullah Gumel.
Honorable Kafilat, why are you going without permission?
I represented Gumel, Megatari, Tilatankarka, and Gagarawa Federal Constituency 1999 to 2003, and a member of the 8th Senate.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, and my fellow colleagues, my name is Dr. Oke Ude. I represented Urumba North and Urumba South Federal Constituency in Anambra State from 1999 to 2003 and 2007 to 2011. I served under our dear departed Honorable Speaker as his House Committee Chairman on Transport between 1999 and 2003. Thank you very much.
Mr. Speaker, former presiding officers, dear colleagues, I am Senator Ita Enang. I served from 1999 to 2011 in this House of Representatives, and 2011 to 2015 in the Senate, and then after presidential liaison to the National Assembly. Thank you very much.
Thank you, our former colleagues. From my right side, we have the former clerks of the House of Representatives. We have Prince Oluyemi Ogunyomi, who was former CNA. You are most welcome, sir. We have Mohammed Atab Asani Omolori, who was also a clerk here and later CNA. We have Honorable Fatai Jimo, who was a deputy clerk to the National Assembly. You are most welcome all. Without any waste of time, I will go straight to my remarks. And I start by welcoming honorable colleagues, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we gather in this hallowed chamber in solemn remembrance of and to pay tribute to an extraordinary statesman and a patriot, His Excellency Right Honorable Gali Umar Naaba, CFR, who passed on to eternal glory on December 27th, 2023. Naaba served as the Speaker of the House of Representatives from July 1999 to May 2003. He undoubtedly left an indelible mark on our nation's democratic journey and will be remembered as one of the titans of our democracy. Speaker after speaker at this session will testify to his courage, boldness, dedication to the principles of democracy, exemplary leadership, and steadfast commitment to the time-honored principles of separation of powers. Of all his qualities, what stands out the most is his simplicity, austerity, contentment, and rare honesty. He was a modest and deeply religious man who gave the last full measure of devotion to his work and Nigeria. He lived a simple life, but always with the end in mind. His life is therefore a worthy lesson for political office holders of today and generations of politicians to come. While this is a moment of grief and national mourning, it is equally a time for sober reflection and celebration of his unblemished public service record and enduring legacy. At a more personal level, I'm humbled by the enormity of his contributions and inspired by the purity of his visions. As we reflect of his life, we are reminded of the enduring strength of our democracy and the pivotal role of the legislature in that regard. At the dawn of the Fourth Republic in 1999, Nigeria stood on the threshold of history. After long years of military rule, Nigeria longed for stability, democracy, and governance that resonated with their hopes and aspirations. It was in this context that Honorable Galin Abba assumed the position of the Speaker, guiding this House with wisdom, dedication, and unwavering commitment. His tenure laid the foundation of a robust, independent legislature, vital for the checks and balances that underpin a vibrant democratic system. His leadership was characterized by profound understanding that the strength of a democracy is measured not just by the freedom enjoyed by its citizens, but also by the strength of its institutions. Under his stewardship, the House of Representatives emerged as a forum for vigorous debate and a powerful instrument for change and development. He championed laws and reforms that continue to impact our nation, fostering economic growth, social justice, and the welfare of all our Nigerians. Additionally, he laid a solid foundation for the growth and development of this House and pursued institutional building with unparalleled vigor and passion. Moreover, his tenure was marked by efforts to ensure the independence of the legislature, recognizing that a truly democratic society thrives when its legislative arms operate without undue influence, freely articulating the will and aspirations of the people. He worked diligently with his colleagues to ensure the National Assembly budgets were put on first-line charge. He also formalized the legislative aid system we operate today, which continues to boost the capacity of legislators for enhanced performance. The vision of Honorable Galin Abba has been supported by successive administrations, with the executive arm working in concert with the National Assembly to ensure good governance, transparency, and accountability. The contributions of Honorable Abba to legislative strengthening and institution building are indeed too numerous to mention. He established a strong bond with the people through the first legislative agenda of the House of Representatives, tagged House Contracts with the Nigerian people. The agenda was focused on meeting the people's basic needs and improving public welfare and sectoral development. In his determination to realize the legislative agenda, he sponsored the Minimum Infrastructure Bill by a wide-ranging and amalgamated legislative master plan to foster infrastructural development in Nigeria. During his time as Speaker, the House developed a strong and vibrant committee system that enabled it to exercise its oversight functions and promote accountability of government institutions. Alongside his colleagues from other African parliaments, Naaba articulated and reformed parliamentary diplomacy in Africa at the start of the new millennium in 2000. He held various positions in parliamentary bodies and organizations, including President, Conference of Speakers of West African Parliaments, President, Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, Africa Region, President, Africa Regional Council, and President, Global Forum for Parliamentarians on Habitat, among others. He is fondly remembered in these organizations for his vision of a stronger and more united Africa and his efforts towards its actualization. The journey since then has been without its challenges, has not been without its challenges. Nigeria has faced and continues to confront a myriad of issues and challenges. Yet the resilience of our democracy, strengthened by the contribution of Right Honorable Galin Abba and many others who followed him, have allowed us to navigate this tumultuous water with hope and determination. As we honor his legacy, let us also acknowledge our collective responsibility to build on the foundations he laid. The legislature remains a vital organ of our democracy with the potential to drive Nigeria towards unprecedented growth and development. As legislators, it is incumbent upon us to ensure that the House continue to serve as a forum for meaningful dialogue, a catalyst for change, and a protector of the rights and freedoms of our citizens. Honorable colleagues, distinguished guests, and fellow Nigerians, I wish to take this opportunity to underscore the paramount importance of fostering a harmonious relationship between executive and the legislature. The relationship, rooted in mutual respect and shared commitment, is the bedrock upon which the edifice of our democracy and the future of our nation rests. In the face of current difficulties facing the country, the House of Representatives reaffirms its unwavering commitment to supporting the executive to tackle these challenges speedily and to bring forth a new dawn of development and prosperity for all Nigerians. Our democracy is designed on the principle of separation of powers, yet it thrives on the synergy between these arms. This is not a design for division, but a formula for collaboration. It is imperative, therefore, that we as the legislative arm work in concert with the executive to address the multifaceted challenges facing our nation. Our collective goal must be to chart a new course of development. The commitment of the House of Representatives to this cause is unequivocal. Whether legislative, executive, or judiciary, there is only one government under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We in the House pledge to expedite the passage of critical legislations that will empower the executive and support the President in tackling our nation's economic challenges. Through constructive partnership, grounded in dialogue and cooperation, we can address the present difficulties and lay out the blueprint for a new Nigeria that is the economic powerhouse of the region and the world in general. In closing, I call on all of us to recommit ourselves to the ideals that Gali Umar Abba held dear: democracy, justice, and the unwavering belief in the potentials of Nigeria and its people. Let us pledge to honor his memory by embodying the values he represented. Let us continue his legacy of service and strive for a better Nigeria for today and for future generations. To our distinguished former speaker, we say thank you. Your legacy is a testament to the enduring power of leadership, vision, and commitment to the greater good. Your journey on earth may have ended, but your spirit lives on in the lives you touch and the enduring legacy of service. On behalf of the House of Representatives, I extend our deepest condolences to the family, friends, and loved ones of Right Honorable Galina Abba. His legacy transcends the confines of material wealth. He lived a life that was a testament to the enduring power of a good name and unblemished reputation. Today, we are reminded ever more eloquently of the profound truth that the true measure of a life well lived is not found in the accumulation of wealth, but in the legacy of service one leaves behind. May his family and friends find comfort in the knowledge that his legacy will endure in the hearts and minds of all who knew him and generations to come. Even as we mourn, we seek solace in believing that we are all from Almighty God, and to him is our return. May God forgive his shortcomings and grant the departed soul Jannatul Firdaus. May he also grant his family, friends, associates, and the nations the fortitude to bear the loss. Thank you, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Right, honorable colleagues and our invited guests, it's my pleasure as well to recognize the family of late Honorable Galina Abba, seated behind the former clerks. Please, can you rise for recognition? This is the family he left behind. You are most welcome. Please sit down. It's my pleasure as well to recognize the presence of Senator Kausu Maila, OFR PhD, Kano South Senatorial District, who is here with us today. He was our former deputy minority leader between 2007 to 2015. Is he available? Can you please rise up for recognition? Honorable Kau. We also have, he was also former SSA to Mr. President between 2015 to 2019. We will be starting not in the logical order of protocol, because among the speakers that are here with us, Honorable Masari is the most senior, both by age and by ranking. But because Honorable Femi Bajabiamila has some urgent commitments, the Villa will oblige him to speak first, after which Honorable Bello Masari will speak. Thereafter, we will recognize on behalf of the principal officers, Honorable Bao Buari, who will speak on their behalf. So this is the sequence of the discussions that we will have today. So we'll start with Honorable Femi Bajabiamila, the Speaker of the House of Representatives of the 9th Assembly and the current Chief of Staff to Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Like you said, my name is Femi Bajabiamila. I served as a member representing Surulere Federal Constituency in this hallowed chamber from 2003 to 2023. I served here for 20 years. And therefore, it is with a feeling of melancholy that I appear for the first time officially in this house with mixed emotions. But I take solace, and I think we should all do, that we are here not to mourn one of us, but to celebrate a giant. Mr. Speaker, honorable members of the House of Representatives, I want to thank you for giving me a chance to say a few words about Right Honorable Gali Umar Naba, a great man, a talented politician, a worthy public servant, and a true Nigerian patriot whose death has brought us much sorrow. But like I said, we do not mourn the life he lived because we know, and the evidence abounds, that he lived a very good life of service. Our grief, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, stems from knowing that with his passing, our nation has lost the talents, the experience, and the courage of a principled, progressive, and passionate politician who spoke the truth as he understood it and was never afraid to defend what he believed to be the best interests of our country. Gali Umar Naba began his political life as a follower of Malam Aminu Kano and an adherent to his brand of progressive politics that centered on advocacy for the poor and downtrodden in our country. Now, this was not unusual for that time and place until you remember that Right Honorable Naba was a scion of a successful business family who could just as easily have chosen a life defined by the pleasures of wealth. But instead, he opted, in spite of all his wealth and his background, to serve the downtrodden. He chose to be a servant of the people and a voice for those less privileged than he was. There is no more remarkable testament to the character of the Right Honorable gentleman. Our democracy is young. However, after 2 decades, we have become comfortable with the rhythm and flow of politics and governance within a democratic framework. This comfort has birthed a certain forgetfulness about the men and women who fought for this democracy, who sacrificed to sustain it, and the hard work it took to achieve the vision of the government of the people, for the people, and by the people. When our nation returned to democratic rule in 1999, the rules, the protocols, and conventions that guide us today did not exist at that time. Yet, Right Honorable Gali Umar Naba understood that the legislature was the heart and conscience of this new democratic settlement. And he worked to defend the independence of the House of Representatives and ensure the legislature's fidelity to its responsibilities in our system, like you rightly pointed out, of checks and balances. Mr. Speaker, this is his legacy, and we thank him for his service. I did not meet Gali Naba while he was Speaker. I was not in this house at the time. However, because his reputation preceded him, and because I followed him and followed his career, I made it a point of duty, notedly, when I became Speaker, to consult with him on a regular. And he gave me words of advice that you couldn't buy in the marketplace. I treasure those words, I treasure those advices, and I believe those advices when I was Speaker was what saw me through my period as Speaker, and I thank him eternally for this. Now, while I and many others will remember and miss the Right Honorable Gali Umar Naba for his role in our country's public life as a political leader and a public servant, for many others, he was much more than that. He was a beloved father, brother, and husband, a mentor, a guardian, and a provider. For them, I pray that Allah, throughout life, will comfort him, or rather comfort them, and bring them peace in the moment of grief. And for our dearly departed brother, who came and served and will forever be remembered in the pantheon of our nation's patriots, may Allah grant him Al-Jannah Fidaw. I thank you very much once again, Mr. Speaker, for allowing me this very rare privilege of speaking on an occasion like this and paying tribute to a giant, a patriot, a committed Nigerian. May his soul rest in peace.
Thank you, Right Honorable Femi Bajabiamila. Sorry, before I call him to speak, I skipped the order of the speeches. While I was correct to say that Honorable Femi will start, and then Honorable Masari will follow. The next will be Honorable Chibodom, who represents the body of the deputy speakers of the House, while Masari will speak on behalf of the body of former speakers. After him, we'll recognize Honorable Bawa Buhari, as I've said earlier, representing the former body of principal officers. And then, of course, one of our own, Honorable Haji Sirika, will also speak as one of the former members, chairman of committees of the House. So without any waste of time, I'll call on Right Honorable Bello Masari to deliver his own speech. Thank you very much.
Mr. Speaker, the Deputy Speaker of the House, honorable members and principal officers of the House of Representatives, my colleagues, former presiding officers and former members of the House of Representatives, the National Assembly, bureaucracy, present and former, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning and assalamu alaikum. Mr. Speaker, for those of us who were with Gali between 1999 to 2003, will remember when the House was constituted in 1999, none of us had any experience of legislative duties. I couldn't remember any one of us in the House who had any experience. And again, we had an executive who was a former military head of state, a general, with no experience but full of credentials, governing the country. Somebody who was, at a time, the head of government,
head of legislature, and even to some extent the judiciary. This was the situation under which Gali Umar Naba found himself settled with the leadership of the House at that particular moment. For those of us who have or who know who Obasanjo was, and I believe is today, will understand the environment which Gali Umar Naba operated upon. Thank God, Gali Umar Naba came from a radical political background of Kano. It helped him a lot. It gave him courage to face the challenges of that time. There is no doubt. The history of legislature, and to the extent House of Representatives, cannot be written without a special place for Gali Umar Naba. He paid his dues. He served his country, and even continued serving even after leaving office. One would have thought, coming from the background of Kanu, like what former Speaker Baja Miller said, would have gone back to business as usual, but he chose to remain in the political limelight, making contributions, suggestions, and comments on national issues. He has paid his dues. May Allah grant him Al-Jannah Firdaus. For those of us, I'm not equating myself with Honorable Buhari and the tiger. You know, they put us where we belong. We were at the background, but watching, participating, we knew that Gali Naba was a distinguished Nigerian and parliamentarian. No doubt about it. He had the courage to provide leadership under the most difficult times. I keep on referring to those of us who were there in 1999. We know the attempts, we know the threats, we know what we have gone through between 1999 and 2003. Yet Gali Naba survived and completed his tenure as Speaker of House of Representatives. By that resilience, which he has showed, really for those of us who are there, and for those students of history like Professor is here, you know, by then he was on the other side, while we were on the other side. Prof. So I think the sad part of it in Nigeria is that you are taken care of when you are dead instead of taking care of you when you are alive. We are very happy and pleased with what Honourable Speaker and principal and members of the House are doing to the families of late Gali Umar Naba. He was a good man, a distinguished Nigerian, and we need to keep the families of those kind of people in good shape, so that it will be an example for other leaders to say, even if we are not around, our offspring will not suffer unnecessarily. I didn't know that I would speak. I would have come with a prepared speech, but I didn't know that because I always yield the floor in this matter like to Barbari, the leader of the minority. You know, at that time he was leader of minority, but we were able to swallow him because our majority was absolute. But we had more internal problems than from the minorities. Mr. Speaker, let me use this opportunity to remind ourselves this democracy today is 24 years. We are dealing with a population, young voters who have no military experience. So we have no military excuse to give them. The more we keep up military is to think there's alternative to governance other than democracy. They don't know. So the responsibility is upon us now to provide leadership that will give them hope of a better life. Nigeria and globally, we are going into a kind of economic crisis. Example should be from us as leaders. We should lead by example. We should not, under any circumstances, luckily enough, some members of the opposition are here. In this fight to salvage Nigeria, we are in it all together, all of us. If there is any problem, it's going to consume all of us. Don't even think that Mr. A is in government, we are not in government, we are not involved. You are involved. The ordinary man on the street does not discriminate. When violence comes, arrests come, it doesn't discriminate. Hunger doesn't discriminate. So we must be careful. We must provide leadership by example. No more excuses. Because we don't have any, a 30-year-old voter today has no military experience. Because when this journey started in 1999, he was only 6 years old. Can you tell him that military is this, military that? You can't. He sees you and me. He sees how we behave. So please, this hallowed chamber, you represent the people. You are not representing geography. You are representing people. So please, let us lead in such a way that we give hope to people of this country. Let us not lead. I don't know that they should read Animal Farm, but those of us who read Animal Farm, we know all are equal, but some are more equal than others. When we were small, when we were growing in a large compound, when our mothers cook food, distribute food or meat on a plate, the one who distributes will make sure that he collects last, not first. That's how leadership is. Leadership cannot grow fat when those who are being led are growing thin by the hour or by the day. You must guide this democracy. There is no better system than this. So let us not give our young ones the opportunity to think there is alternative to what is on ground. Mr. Speaker, I thank you very much for this opportunity. And to the families of Gali Umanaba, rest assured we are always with you, and may his justice soul rest in peace. And
thank you very much, our former speaker, our senior brother. Thank you for the inspiring speech. May God bless you, sir. Because of time constraints, honorable colleagues, please let us be guided by what we have set aside. 3 minutes per speaker. Let us not go beyond that, and I'm sure the former chief whip is there. We'll give him the temporary appointment of being the monitor to ensure that we don't go beyond the 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I hope my senior brother will take this responsibility. Have you accepted?
Accepted, and I'm sure
thank you very much. Thank you. So in the line of protocol, we now call on the former Deputy Speaker, Right Honorable Chibodom, to deliver his speech.
Yes. The Honorable Speaker, the Deputy Speaker, honorable members, former speakers, former deputy speakers, the bureaucracy, former House leadership, principal officers, may I please observe all protocols in view of the time. My name is Honorable Chibudom Muche. I was the rep for Ahoda East and Abua Odwal Federal Constituency in 1999 to 2003. I had the singular privilege to have served under two speakers, Honorable Salisu Buhari, whose tenure was short-lived, and thereafter Gali Naba came on board as speaker. And Gali Naba, we're here today to honor his memory. He was a speaker for excellence. He led the House without a compass roadmap, because it was then that democracy was birthed in 1999, the current dispensation. Our House was full of members who had dreams for the country, who were very young, very vibrant. Most had no godfathers. They came by themselves. That was why you saw the independence of that House. And that was why we survived all the attempts, because members who stood behind us were extremely principled, and they kept faith with leadership. You know, there was a singular act that we proposed for the welfare of Nigerians, but we pitched just against the executive, the NDDC Act. That was where Gali Naba showed the detribalized nature, and I was a pan-Nigerian. He was from Kanu, from the north, but he supported the South-South, the oppressed people of South-South. He ensured that the bill was passed, and when the president at that time refused to sign, he mobilized the House to override the veto by 2/3 majority. That was the character of Gali Naba. He believed in the independence of the legislature, working in harmony with the other arms of government, but working to safeguard the public. Gali passed that act with all our members voting for it. And that was how his problems began. At that point, the feeling was that if they can muster two-thirds majority to override the veto, they could do more than that. So Obasanjo became on the defensive and tried to remove us several times, but by his grace and the support of members who were behind us for no consideration beyond loyalty, Gali and I stayed the full term. Gali was a good man. Gali was a good man. May God grant his soul repose. May he comfort the family. Gali was a leader whom I believe we should immortalize because he led this house creditably. He worked with the Senate in harmony, with Lichibo Kadibo, very harmoniously, the Senate. At that time, the House was the driving force. I recall when we were called upon to protect the Senate and which prevented the impeachment of Chubo Kadibo. Members stood by me to pass a resolution that if the Senate removed Chubo Kadibo, that we no longer work with the Senate. And we moved from this house, marched to the Senate floor, and we stopped the impeachment of Chubo Kadibo. That was Gali's motivation. Gali was not in town. He was on a conference in India. But he said to us, I'm not available now. Please go ahead and ensure that Chuba Kadibo is protected because he hasn't done anything beyond projecting the National Assembly. So Gali was a good man. And I must thank our members who stood by us. Because without them, we would have been very vulnerable because we were fighting principalities. But thanks to their commitment, we survived that tenure. Gali is gone. All I would plead is that let me thank the Speaker who intervened to assist in Gali's ailments. Let me thank other Nigerians who did. Let me thank my former governor, Mr. Wike. I went to him 2 years ago for the first intervention. He generously supported that process. Let me thank members who are tasking themselves in these difficult times to support Gali's family. Let me thank you also for protecting Nigerians in these hard times, for placing their welfare beyond all else. May God bless Gali's soul. May God guide his family. May God give us the courage to live the principles he has set. Thank you very much.
Honorable Jerry Ugukwe, please, can you rise and deliver your speech?
Mr. Speaker.
Yes,
I'm the temporary chief whip here today, and on the names you recognize, I was supposed to be the next person.
Call is the turn of the body of principal officers, former. So sorry, you will be the next. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, today is a day of mixed feelings for me. This is a day of gratitude for the honor being bestowed on our leader of blessed memories. For me, we had a special bond that transcended politics, built on trust, respect, and mutual admiration. Honorable Naaba was not just a political figure to me, but a confidant, a mentor, and a source of inspiration. He was a friend for all seasons. I recall the countless times we worked side by side in the House of 1999, facing challenges and triumphs of our roles together. Naaba led with integrity and never wavering in his commitment to upholding the values of honesty and transparency. He was a pillar of strength in times of turmoil, a voice of reason in moments of chaos, and a beacon of hope in the face of adversity. One of the qualities that I admired most about Honorable Naaba was his fearlessness. He never backed down from a fight, always standing for what he believed in, no matter the consequences. His courage was a guiding light for all of us, reminding us that true leadership requires the willingness to take a stand, and even when it was not a popular choice. But perhaps what I will remember most about Honorable Naaba was his ability to unite. In a house divided by political affiliations and personal agendas, he was a unifying force, bringing us together in pursuit of a common goal. He understood the power of collaboration and consensus building, and he worked tirelessly to bridge the gaps that divided us, fostering a spirit of unity and cohesion. As I stand here today, mourning the loss of my dear friend, I am filled with gratitude for the time we shared, the memories we created, and the lessons he taught me. Honorable Naba's impact on me and on the House of 1999 and on Nigeria as a whole will live for a long time, even after his passing. His legacy of integrity, leadership, patriotism will continue to inspire us to strive for a better future, to fight for justice, and to never back down from doing what is right. The House of 1999 Naaba has lived a void for the House of 1999. He was not just a member of our team, but a guiding force, a mentor, and a friend. As we navigate the days ahead without him, let us honor his memory by upholding the values he cherished, by standing up for what is just, and by working towards a Nigeria that he will have been proud of. Mr. Speaker, it is good to remind us here today that out of the 360 members of 1999, we've lost 76. I will therefore seek your indulgence to offer prayers for these people. We look forward to rejoining them in the best of places, Jannatul Firdaus. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Right Honorable. It is the turn of Right Honorable Professor Jerry Ogukwe. Please, if you are ready, you can proceed, please, with your speech. 3 minutes, please.
Thank you so much. Mr. Speaker, let me thank you for this opportunity for us to be in this chamber today. My heart feels particularly heavy when I remember our great speaker, Gali Umar Naaba. I never knew him before we came to the House of Representatives, but I met him when we came because I remember clearly that I had traveled around the world with President Olusegun Obasanjo, and at one of those instances, I had an opportunity to speak on CNN in 1999 when we were in Atlanta. And I said to them that you are looking at the Speaker of the House of Representatives of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that I expect to be the Speaker when I get back to Nigeria. So Gali Naaba must have watched that. So when he saw me, because at that time we had not documented, so when he saw me and said, Mr. Speaker, I laughed. I said, if not me, who? So he laughed, he said he doesn't know who. I said, if not me, you. That was what we said at the beginning. Then we continued. When the party zoned the offices, you remember that nothing like that was zoned to the southeast where I come from. So that didn't happen. But remember that I said, if not me, who? And I told him by prophecy that if not me, him. Now, Salisu Buhari was elected speaker. And for some reason, many of us ganged up and said, we must do things right. And after some time, of course, you know the history, Salisu Buhari was removed. And guess what? As we were having a caucus meeting in one of the hotels outside here, an honorable member, Honorable Acho Obioma and Honorable Halim Agoda, brought in somebody and said, we want to introduce you to the person who is going to be the next speaker. And who was it? Gali Umar Naaba. And he had a file with all his documents to show us that his documents were real. Not like what happened with Salisu. So because I had spoken to him and we had agreed he was going to support me if it was zoned to my area, now I said to him, do you remember what I told you? If not me, who? And he said, me. And from then on, we agreed it was going to be Gali Umar Naaba. So we worked very hard to make sure
the last one, you are not permitted. Come on, go back and sit down. No, you are not permitted.
So those of us who were with him remember clearly that he was always sitting on the second to the last seat before he became speaker. And from time to time, he would sneak away. And I know what he goes out to go to do. Then he will come back. So he was very quiet. You would not know that he is a determined and focused parliamentarian until he sat on that seat. When he became speaker, there was nothing the president didn't do. But Naaba will tell you, we are working for the masses of Nigeria, and nothing can make him change his mind as long as it's for the interest of Nigerians. Let me dare say that Gali Umar Naaba was the best there was at that time. Gali Umar Naaba inspired so many of us So many of us could not do without Galinaba because we were being chased all over the place because we were doing the right thing. And as you know, we didn't have money at that time. The National Assembly was at the beck and call of the federal government. But thank God, through Galinaba, we were able to succeed in making sure that the National Assembly had autonomy. I want to say, Mr. Speaker, that some of us are pained. I'm pained particularly that we can't talk to Galinaba again. I just want to say to Galinaba, good night, my speaker. Good night, my speaker. Good night, my speaker. Until we meet again in heaven to enjoy eternal life together. And may the Almighty God condole the family that he left behind so that they will not be so upset because he's not here. Let them know that his spirit is with them. And those of us who were his close friends and worked with him, we know that anytime you call on us, we will be able to do whatever we can. Because as far as we are concerned, the spirit of Naba still lives in all of us. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Thank you so much.
Right, Honorable Senator Binta Masi Koji. You have 2 minutes. I know you to be a very efficient talker, economical in words. Please demonstrate here. 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, former principal officers, distinguished colleagues of ours, former and present. My name is Binta Masi Garba and Koji of blessed memory. I stand on behalf of the 12 female parliamentarians of the 4th Assembly, where our beloved Speaker of blessed memory presided upon. Mr. Speaker, sir, if each and every one of us could stand, they will have one particular thing that we talked about, our dear Mr. Speaker of blessed memory. 12 female, he gave us equal chance, equal opportunity to assert our own contributions to national building. He was a dogged fighter, very, very simple, calm, even in the place of storm. He was very calm. He came out with the 3 things that some of us practice still today. He had about 3 different categories of people he deals with, of which he asks questions and which he tried to get the best of advices from. That's why he called the outer caucus, the inner caucus, and the inner caucus, where national issues are being deliberated and irrespective of your geopolitical zone. We came in as a movement to see how best Nigeria could be in the leadership that he asserted. And irrespective of the 3 political parties then, I was with the APP, and you have the P, he was with the PDP, and you have the AD. But that was kept aside. National issue in the morning, national issue in the afternoon, national issue in the night. And whatever National Assembly is today, that was the man that started it to get the independence of the National Assembly or the Parliament. Until today, if the national issue cannot encompass the 6 geopolitical zones, then count the Speaker of blessed memory out.
Very correct. Very, very right.
One thing it pains my heart is that on the 27th of December, I lost someone too that is dear to me. 3 people died on that day that were dear to me. The former governor of Ondo State, our speaker, and one of my aides died same on 27th of December. So obviously that day will never be erased in my memory for long. But Mr. Speaker, sir, Galin Abba was a leader of repute. He lived what he preached. He was a detribalized leader. He was a leader that does not believe in which religion you come from, but whatever region you are from. But the thing is that let's come together and build bridges that tomorrow we will now lay a foundation that either I am there or not, as he usually say, that bridge must be built, that the future generation, of which obviously some are here benefiting from, will pay the price. Mr. Speaker, during his tenure as a speaker, we went through a turmoil. For 6 months, the government of that administration denied us our rights, even to pay us our monthly due for 6 months. But we are unpartooned. We stood our ground, and at the end of the day, victory was won. Unfortunately, probably he wasn't celebrated at that point in time, but in the annals of history, when it comes to parliamentary activities, Gali Naba of blessed memory will be mentioned over and over and over again. So on behalf of myself and my other female parliamentarians, one is here. We want to ask God Almighty to forgive him his shortcomings, just like what the scripture said, and even the Quran, naked we came and naked shall we go. Between life and death is a thin line. The thin line is what you must have done, either on the positive angle or on the negative angle, that will stand the test of time. But we are gathered here to talk about the positive side of our leader. So we pray that the Almighty will grant the family the fortitude to bear the great loss, and we pray that Allah Almighty will give him Al-Jannah Firdausi. This is my contribution with a heavy heart, Mr. Speaker, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, our dear sister, for such a very inspiring speech. May God bless you. Honorable Hadi Sirika, you have 2 minutes, please.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahumma inna gali umar na'abba fi zimmatika wa hawli juwarika faqihi min fitnatul qabr wa adhabun nar. Allahumma ghafir lahu warhamhu warhamna ba'da. Mr. Speaker, certainly Right Honorable Gali Umar Na'abba was so many things to so many people. He was courageous, forthright, who started this house with no infrastructure and no structure. But he was able to articulate some. I remember the 12 wise men that he created to look after fellow members of this hallowed chamber. Most profoundly, Mr. Speaker, sir, I was traveling to the UK one early morning. I didn't know where he was going, then we met at the airport. And I said to him, Mr. Speaker, I'm very afraid for you. He said, why? I said, day in, day out, they are struggling to remove you from the villa. We're all concerned, lovers of democracy. And also within the house, though you had absolute control, there are still dissenting voices. And he said to me, I'm not worried at all what is going on in the villa. Because when they remove me, certainly I am not the best among equals. I am only one among equals, and certainly there will be another Gali that will emerge from the House. But, Mr. Speaker, he was certainly the best among equals at the time. Mr. Speaker, he said, I'm more worried about my colleagues, not to bring in the culture of distortion to distort our vision and to distort our quest for the prevention, preservation, and protection of democracy and multi-party democratic systems. Mr. Speaker, that was Galina Abba. Clear-headed, forthright, and never afraid of taking decisions. I had the misfortune of watching his wife die, who was just half a kilometer in front of me as we were driving back from Bauchi. We took her home, we buried her, and I went to him. And he pulled my hands and said, you witnessed the passing away of my dear wife. I reminded him of the verse of the Quran, and I said to him that we are indeed from God, and unto him we shall return. And aptly, he responded back by quoting another verse of the Quran. Kullu man alayha fan. Certainly, whoever lives on it will depart, will vacate. Be it man, be it jinn, be it shrubs, be it animals or insects. You live on this earth, you must vacate. And that is the power of God. We will go back to him. As we sat down, even in that moment, he stole 2-3 seconds of our time and whispered to me that Nigeria must be better. Mr. Speaker, I had, at one time of my life, been extremely very close to him, not by going to him, but he reached out first at all times. He spoke to me first before I ever pick a phone to call him. The last time I saw him, I looked at his face. I said, this is a man full of faith. You see the mark on his forehead. Prophet Abraham alayhi salam had taught us how to pray. As a matter of fact, even Jesus Christ, in Matthew 26:39, he said, I took a few steps and fell with my face on the ground and asked that this cup pass over me, not as I will, but as you will. And Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam came to seal it, to also preach and to teach us, as Abraham and Jesus did, on how to pray by putting our forehead on the ground in total submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our creator, knowing fully well we will depart one day or another, and certainly it is coming. Galin Abba had departed. Allahumma ghafir lahu warhamhu wa afihi wa afanhu wa akrim nuzulahu wa wasim mulkhala wa ghasilhu bil ma'i wa tad'u al barad wa naqihi min al kata'a kama naqaytu bil abad min al danas. Allahumma salli ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin. Amin. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Right Honorable Distinguished Senator. I will go ahead and recognize a member from the minority leadership. I don't know who is ready first. Should we start with the leader of the minority? If you have one or two things to say. Because time will not permit for us to go around and give people the opportunity to speak. So I think we will try as much as possible to restrict to the leadership who are representative of all the 6 geopolitical zones to speak on behalf of their zones. I start with the minority leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My dear colleagues, our leaders here present, I would want to start by saying that we have heard so much about our leader as a nationalist, as a tribalized leader, one who has paid his due. But permit me to take us briefly on an excursion into my experience with him as a father at home. Even at that level that he attained, I schooled with one of his children when I did my master's in law. And I had the opportunity to pay for handouts for some of us in our reading class. And the daughter happened to be one of those that I paid for that handout for. When she got home, the next day back in school, she told me that her father wanted to speak to me. And I was worried. I said, what happened? She said the father saw the textbook and asked her how she got that textbook. And she told him that her colleague bought the textbook for her, and he insisted he wanted to say thank you to that colleague. I tried to shy away from that, but she insisted, and I spoke to him. We spoke for almost 30 minutes, thanking me for being generous, and then we went into national issues when he realized that I was a serving member of the House of Reps. I had the benefit of speaking with him, and one of the things he told me was that the time has come for this country to make a change in the interest of the downtrodden, that our system was no longer working. Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, Gali Naba told me that we should look at rejigging this system. And that prompted me into studying deeper into what will work for us, whether rightly or wrongly. Today, we have presented 3 bills to move us from presidential to parliamentary system. We owe that insight to him. And I think that this is an opportunity to also thank him and thank the family too for that privilege that I enjoyed. I want us to take home 2 issues from our stay here. First, perhaps if we had the opportunity to commend him, encourage him when he was alive, it would not have taken this form. There are several Gali Nabas that are living today. Several out there. Please, sir, let us begin to locate them. Commend our own, encourage our own while they are still living. Secondly, I would also want us, both at the level of parliament and outside the parliament, to tap from what we are seeing today, that it is not how far, it is not how long you live, but how well. How well. And so every opportunity we have, we must use that opportunity to make a statement in the interest of the people that we serve. Finally, sir, another take home. I have also learned from the life of Gali Naba that truly everything made, everything created, we are all made or created to bring joy to others, including man. And therefore, a little bit less selfishness and a little bit more of selflessness will bring joy and happiness to our world. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you for the opportunity. God bless us.
Thank you, Honorable Chenda. Honorable Alijesi, the Minority Whip, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, our leaders, and my respected honorable colleagues. I rise today among my very respected leaders and colleagues and among all Nigerians to speak about our former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Gali Umar Naabba. He was a Speaker 1999 to 2003. I was not a member of the House of Representatives then, but I was a staff of the National Assembly. And I vividly remember the courage and his charismatic leadership in the House of Representatives. Honorable Gali Umar Naaba encouraged most of us then who are young in that time to join politics because of his concern about Nigerians. Today we are all here speaking about these great chambers because of the principles and good works of the former speaker. I also want to use this medium to call all of us as leaders of this country. Today, Honorable Gali Umar Naaba is not alive, but we are alive and we are leaders. We should also remember that one day someone or somewhere will stand to speak about our past. So we should take our responsibility serious at all times. We should always remember, just like in the Quran, God says that kulli nafsin za'iqatil maut, every soul shall taste death. And as a leader, whatever responsibility you have been given, you remember that your actions or inactions, one day you must account for it after you are dead. So we that are alive, we should try all we can do to do what people can speak about it in our absence. And I also want to encourage us, just like the former speaker who has spoken earlier, we should also try to acknowledge, support, and encourage people when they are alive. We should encourage them. We should acknowledge their good works, not only when people are no longer alive, then we start speaking much about them. Let me also remind all of us, just like I said, we will continue all the necessary prayers for our country. But we can also not stop in only praying. We have to take actions. We have to take responsibility, and we should remember that a lot of Nigerians die daily because of hunger and starvation. We should do the right thing. May God continue to guide our leaders. May God continue to bless this country. May God reward Right Honorable Gali Umar Abba with Jannatul Firdaus. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Ali JC. We move to the Deputy Majority Leader, Honorable Halims.
Right Honorable Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues, our invited guests, and all the people gathered here to celebrate the death of a giant. I want to start.
Honorable Lantan, approach the chair. There's no time for break.
I want to start by giving praises to Almighty Allah for this golden opportunity. I, for one, I wasn't in the assembly when Gali Naaba was here. I met him by opportunity sometimes in the course of my own journey in this assembly. I met him in the course of my journey in this assembly. I really want to thank God that I'm part of the people who will speak on his behalf today. As you are aware, we are talking about the man, the Right Honorable Gali Umar Naaba. Debt is a debt we all owe, and we must pay someday, somehow. The stark reality of this fact has once again dawned on all of us with the transmutation of the Right Honorable Gali Naaba from finitely temporal existence to immortality. Today, my mind goes to the time and tenure of the late speaker. It goes down as one of the most remarkable era in the history of our parliament, in the Fourth Republic, because of the frank, firm, fearless, courageous and incorruptible parliamentarian, the Right Honorable Umar Gali Naba, Speaker, Federal House of Representatives, as he then was. Indeed, the country has lost a rare gem. No doubt, Right Honorable Umar Gali Naba was a speaker that added value to this chamber, to his constituency, and the country in general, in terms of quality representation, quality presentation of bills, provision of social amenities to the entire country, and other progressive engagements. The late Right Honorable Umar Gali Naba will forever be remembered for his immense contribution to the advancement of democracy in Nigeria. He fought tirelessly to ensure an independable legislature during his days as the Speaker of this Honorable House. This remains indelible in our hearts, mind, and consciousness as we are gathered here today to bid our late colleague, the Right Honorable Naba, farewell. I implore all to reconcile with our Creator, for death is such a cruel terminator. The overbearing shadow hangs over all of us. I believe the best way to live, as taught by all religion, is to always be ready to die. I pray Allah in His infinite mercy grant our brother eternal peace. Amen. And grant him Jannatul Firdaus. Allahumma ya mutaffalilu ya hanan ya badi'a samawat wal ard ya ni'mal mawla wa ni'man nasir in tastaftihu fakazakum al-fathu wa in tantahu fa huwa khairun lakum na'ud wa lan tughni ankum fi'atukum shay'an wa law kasurat ana Allaha ma'al mu'minin inna fatahna laka fathan mubina liyaghfira laka Allahu ma taqaddama min dhanbi wa ma tahara wa yutimma ni'matahu alayka wa yahdika siratan mustaqima wa yansuraka Allahu nasran aziza nasrun min Allah wa fathu qarib wa basiril mu'minin wa la hawla wa la quwwata.
Honorable, please approach the chair. Your attention is needed here.
Jannatul Firdaus. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Halims. Thank you so much. The Leader of the House, you have the floor.
Mr. Speaker, leaders here, I rise to speak very briefly about a fellow political scientist and a man who was Speaker of this House when I was on the other side, like ex-Governor Masari rightly identified, though I was not one of those chasing him and his colleagues. Mr. Speaker, most of us here may not appreciate the challenge of re-federalization. When the federal system has been defederalized and you are trying to refederalize, it is a lot of work. Building the structures and institutions of democracy, accountability, social justice, and positive leadership, you don't find it on the streets. That was the time Gali Naba was Speaker. It was a tough period. But I'm happy to say, you know, as a student of politics and history, when the history of certain nations are written, some pages are deliberately left blank. There is no need writing anything there, because that person was not a good person. It was a minus to the political and social history of that nation. But I'm happy that Naba's page will not be blank. His commitment to democracy and democratization, his commitment to social justice, to building new voices and leadership, to building the kind of engagements we needed in this country to promote the government and governance structures we dream about cannot be questioned. I met him several times, usually whenever he came to the villa, and we exchanged ideas as co-professionals. And I know every time he will always remind me that, Professor, I hope you remember that nobody lives in a bulletproof car. And that statement always came from when we agreed that if the political elites in Nigeria are not careful and the people decide to react, the bulletproof car will not save anybody. And I think the message he passed on has been expounded upon by many speakers here today. I pray that God
Honorable Ajili Soro,
grant
Honorable
him
Stanley,
mercies,
Ajilo,
and
please
that he
be
will-
attentive.
He will continue to be remembered as a man with a sense of mission, a man with a sense of history, a man who was a true patriot and Pan-Africanist, and intellectual in his own right. May God strengthen his family and grant him peace in his bosom. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Leader. The Deputy Speaker, if you are ready, you have the floor.
Your Excellency, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, former presiding officers here present, the principal officers of the 10th Assembly, most distinguished colleagues. Truly, it is not a happy day. Truly, it is difficult to make a comment after hearing series of beautiful comments coming from those who interacted with him. People who worked with him, people who experienced his impact. It suffice that to say that we have gathered today not to celebrate a man with the biggest amount of money in his bank account. We've gathered today not to celebrate a man who has the biggest farm, who has the biggest car. We've come to celebrate a man of courage, a man who had no template for strengthening the fulcrum of democracy, but braved it to set a roadmap for the new dispensation of our democracy. We've gathered today to celebrate a man, a hero of transparency, a hero of accountability, a hero who stood for the advancement of our democracy. It is not easy to stand before a former general, look him in the eye and say no to him. Not because of lack of respect to the general, a sitting president, but because of the yearning of the masses. Celebrate a man who did not stand for the elite, a representative who stood for the masses. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, true representation is that representation that aligns with the wishes, the desires, and the hunger, the pain of those that we represent. Not our pockets, but the people. What is democracy without the people? There is an awakening call that resonates and sounds from the death of this great man. He fought for a legacy. And I'm happy 25 years later, while he was alive, some of us who believe in what we saw in him got the opportunity to be in the House of Representatives. In 1999, I just left university in 1998. And if I had people that I admired then, because I was with Amnesty International. We were some of those student union governments who were fighting for democracy to come. If there were men that we admired, if there were men that inspired us, the man we celebrate today happened to be one of them. He lived. He may not have had an encounter with me personally, but the principles and the philosophies and the ideologies that he believed in, putting the people first, influenced some of the work that we did for Ben, the federal constituency where I represent, Mr. Speaker. If you are in doubt, you go and verify. No longer do we celebrate just wealth. We celebrate a man who believes that democracy is the best option. And this is a message to those who are thinking of other options. There is no option better than democracy. Let the labors of our heroes pass, which has happened to be one of them that has joined the queue. May it not be in vain. Let's stand for democracy. Let's stand for our people. And I know that, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you. You've made so many sacrifices. You have led us to make sacrifices because you believe in what this man believed in. And I want to thank you from the depth of my heart, both as principal officers and these men who are here, who were also inspired by the great Naba. You've caused us to show concern in his legacy. And I want to thank Nana, the lady there. If you may stand up, Nana. Nana walked. Mr. Speaker, Nana walked with this great man. I saw her in tears when she rushed to us. He must have been a good man for his staff to cry the way she cried, looking for how we can help the family. He must have been a good man. He must have been a good man. He must have been a good man for the entire great mind of the National Assembly, House of Reps. Without so much effort from you and myself during Committee of the Whole to embrace the plea for support. I thank you, honorable colleagues. I thank you. He must have been a good man for his deputy, my own brother, who is here, to stand up years after they have worked together to say, this man was a good man. Your Excellency, you are alive, and I'm your deputy, and I want to say you are a good man. Your Excellency, I will not wait until when we meet in heaven. We have a long way to go. You are a good man. Your Excellency, he must have been a good man for the array of these great minds that I respect so much. Former deputy speakers, former speakers to be here. Senators, my own brother, I've seen him, Senator Mao, sitting quietly. They may not say a word, but their presidents have spoken volume to Nigerians. That it is good to be a good man. It is good to leave a legacy. And this is a message to Nigerians. Search out for members of the House of Reps.
Kabesi, please sit down.
Let me end by saying, Mr. Speaker, that his relationship, life, is worthy of emulation. I heard them say that he related very well with the Senate, which you are doing. I heard them say that he related well with the House. I heard them say that he did not discriminate against religion or tribe. That was a good example, which all of us will carry on. And as we do that, I believe that we will leave a particular building in this complex in the name of this great man. Mr. Speaker, I've heard your wisdom. A building here, you have given a nod privately, and I'm sure Nigerians need to know that a building in this whole complex must be dedicated to the name of this great man who walked the path of democracy. Thank you, and may the Lord preserve his soul.
Thank you, Your Excellency, the Deputy Speaker, for your inspiring words. Thank you, our former leaders, for finding time to come and celebrate the life of this great man. Thank you, our presiding officers, principal officers. Thank you, our honorable colleagues, for also finding time to come, in spite of the fact that most of you don't even know him personally. You didn't work with him, but you still choose to identify yourself with him because of what you heard about him. My prayer and advice to all of us is to live the life this man had led, live the good deeds he has exemplified in his life, and try as much as possible to also carve a niche for ourselves so that one day, when we pass away, people will say so many good things about us, like the way we are saying to him. It's not magical. It is possible for us all to be, in our own way, Galina Abba. Galina Abba. We can all be it if we choose the right path. I pray to his family for God to give them the fortitude to continue to bear the loss. And I want them to know that this noble house is their own house. Their father, their breadwinner might not be here today, but we are here for him, and we are here for them all. We'll continue to support them. We'll continue to identify with them. To our former members and our current members as well, today we have shown the world that we are one and the same, one family. You can see how people from different houses are from different religions and from different geopolitical zones of all gathered, and we're all commending one person. That goes to say we still remain one family. I want to urge us to please improve on this bondage. Those who are around and those who have served before, let us remain one family and continue to identify with each other. For us at the level of leadership, we want you to know that we take you as one. I will continue to take you as one and will identify with you every day and in any circumstances. Thank you so much, my honorable colleagues and our former members, for finding time to come. Before we call it a day, I think it is only expedient for our former members, particularly those who served during his time, to take pictures with the family at the front of the house, and so also other members of the house that came after he exited, and also generally our own members who may so wish to take pictures with this family, so that at least we have something of history to actually keep with us. As the Speaker, Deputy Speaker mentioned earlier, yes, we have passed a resolution to name the National Assembly Service Commission new building here after Honorable Galina Abba. We have already transmitted the resolution to the Senate, looking for their own concurrence, which I believe will come any day, any time from now. We will not stop at that. We will encourage, particularly those who served with him, to please come up, the House will finance a book, a biography of Galina Abba, which the House will support so that we again maintain history for our own children, so that our own children, our grandchildren will know the sacrifices Honorable Galina Abba made during his lifetime, and so also people who served with him during that particular time. Thank you so much, my brothers and sisters. May God bless us all. May God continue to be the pillar of our strength. Thank you so much for being here. Leader, Please, can you move for the adjournment?
Mr. Speaker, Professor Julius Ihonvere.
Sorry, leader, please, I've just been advised. I don't know whether one of the family members would want to say a word or two. It's optional. If you don't, it is okay. Is there anyone who wants to say one or two words? Please, if the podium is, the microphone is working, you can use that, please.
So firstly, I would like to acknowledge and appreciate the Speaker, the Deputy Speaker, former presiding officers, who mostly I call them uncles still. And I want to thank you all for the efforts that you have put in since the 27th of December. The support system has been very present, and that has allowed us all to breathe a little bit easier than it should have been. Our father meant everything to us, and he left us with three main principles. The first is to make sure we do everything wholeheartedly. By doing this, we're able to birth passion out of us. And when you have passion, and then success is always going to come. And secondly, he said, whatever you do, you have to try and take people along. And when you're there for people and you put them first, people will put you first as well. And the third thing he said to me was, make sure you respect those who God has risen above you, and yours will come as well. And I think in his death, we're able to see the results of these three principles come together, because this right here is just is what comes after all of these things are applied throughout your whole life. So thank you very much for having us, and we really appreciate everything that you have done for us. Thank you. God bless you.
Leader, please, can you move for adjournment?
Mr. Speaker, I'm Professor Julius Ihonvere, representing the wonderful people of Owan Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Edo State. I rise to move that, having completed everything in the order paper, that the House do adjourn to next week, Tuesday, same time, same venue. I so move.
The minority leader, please, can you second?
Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, all presiding officers, I rise to second the motion that, having had a very fruitful day, that the House do stand adjourned to Tuesday. I so second.
Those in support of this motion should say aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes can go while the nays can remain until Tuesday, 11 a.m., same venue.